Welcome to a special episode of the Rinks and Great Park Ice podcast. I'm your host, DJ, member of the Rinks and Great Park Ice marketing team. And today we have a special guest, Jeff Plush, who's the Chief Executive Officer of USA Curling and has over 25 years of experience in sports and live entertainment and bringing his talents to the curling world in 2020. How's it going, Jeff? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's going well, DJ. Thanks for having me. Excited to be on with you and excited to come out and be in your lovely part of the world in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. I think, are you guys located in Minnesota?
We are headquartered in Minneapolis, yeah.
Okay.
And then I commute from Denver as well. So that's kind of where so all good markets, but we get a little snow. So maybe you guys wouldn't love it as much, so.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we'd like a little precipitation now and then. It's a little warm, a little dry, but
plus you're still hockey guys, so
yeah.
So
spend most of the time in the cold, anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, how's the year been so far as things open back up? And just want to know, like, if there's any other events that have been going on or competitions that have been leading up to this.
Yeah, we're currently in the middle of our junior nationals up here in Minneapolis and Chaska, which is going really well. We just finished our national team camp, which is both on ice and off, and some, just some business stuff and training stuff that went really well. Just kick off the year. Things are opening up in some places. Things are shutting back down in others. So it's a little bit complex for all of us, but I think we've all had such a crazy last 18 months that we've all gotten better at dealing with it. And probably a little bit more positivity still. So we're excited about this year, knowing that it's still going to have some complexities and some limitations to it, I think. But we've got a lot going on. We've got Olympic trials, as you know, coming back to Great Park Ice in October, and then our men's and women's trials in Omaha in November, and then Beijing. So a really packed 6 months for those of us in the winter sport world.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool that we get this like preliminary event and then going into the Olympic trials. And then it's crazy to think that like we just had like the Summer Olympics and then going into winter. So we get kind of like a back-to-back with that.
Yeah, it's a twofer. It's and I feel for our friends at the U.S. Olympic Committee who are so busy going from one to the next right away. But it's exhilarating, and so it's going to be a lot of fun for all of us. And as you know, this event was supposed to happen a year ago, which we had to cancel because of COVID. So we're just thrilled to be coming and being able to do it. And we'll learn some stuff, and hopefully your marketplace is excited about both this and the trials in October.
Awesome. And like, what's the energy level excitement leading up to, like, is this the first big, I guess, international event, like competition for you guys going into things?
It's the first event we've had with meaningful competition international competition since we went to the World Championships in April. We had our national championships just domestic in May, which is great. But so yeah, for our teams to be able to come to a beautiful part of the world and your fantastic facility, but play in really meaningful competition, that's exciting, but also purposeful, right? As you start to train and trying to get up, raise the level of your game for important competitions coming up.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we're excited to have it. We have like a local curling club that's out of it, but this would be the first, I think it's the first international competition in California for curling, at least Southern California. So that's exciting for us too.
We've got Orange County Curling Club that you guys know well in that building and in the Irvine, Anaheim area. But also we just launched a new center called Southern California Curling Center up closer to Los Angeles and Vernon. And so, yeah, we got real traction in your market, which is obviously a huge market for everything, but especially a media market. So we're trying to put a flag in the ground in Southern California. So
we're happy to be a home for that and trying to get that going.
Good, thank you.
You're talking about training, and for me, I'm not too well versed in curling, so I just like, what's the training like for the athletes off season and then leading into like actual competition?
Look, I think a couple of things, like all sports, but I think people maybe don't fully realize our athletes are fit. That they're taking care of themselves. All the things that goes into physical fitness, nutrition, mental, sleep, all the things that any 21st century serious athlete has to be cognizant of these days. And so a lot of time spent in the summer when they're not on ice, just being really in tune. And their bodies have, it's a grind when you're playing 2-3 draws a day, 9-10 days in a row for the nationals or worlds. That takes a heavy toll on a lot of your muscles, but back, hips. So it's a lot of flexibility stuff as well as strength. And then we're still ice, right? I think the good news is with facilities like yours, these new buildings, the ice is fantastic year round. And so especially when there's not a lot of humidity, that's the one challenge is trying to deal with that. But so they're able to get some good ice training in the Twin Cities in particular. But Denver, where we have an event coming up next week, has great ice this time of year. So more and more, they're able to spend time both on and off the ice year round.
That's good. And that makes sense when you think about it and watch the sport. I try to during the Olympics watch it, and just because I'm into ice sports and the curiosity of it, and seeing flexibility for sure. It looks like it plays a part. Is it the lead that one that I guess shoots the stone?
The lead's the first one. So 4 different players, and obviously the skip is running the team and really leading the strategy. And I think the key is that as we get more people watching it, what's fascinating, the more you watch it, the more you realize how complex it really is, and which makes it more exciting. And like any sport, I think part of it is getting people first engaged and then keeping them hooked and getting them engaged to learn more and educate them so that they know how to watch it and better understand it. And so we're still in that part of the process. I think we've got the American marketplaces now properly fascinated, right, which is awesome. Yeah. Now we have to get them to understand the sport better. And so myself included, right? So I'm still relatively new as well to the sport. So I think there's a lot more to be done. And I think anytime you have the best athletes in the world competing in a meaningful way for gold medals or world championships, that's compelling. And I think, and our partners at NBC do a fantastic job of telling that story. And so, compelling human competition is fun, whether that's curling, certainly Stanley Cup playoffs. We've seen it all. It's your fans know this very well. So,
yeah, I would say when I've watched it, getting drawn into it, and there is a complexity and finesse to making certain plays. And I know the ice surface is textured, I guess. So when they're
it's
using the broom, they're creating a trail.
Yeah, it's pebbled, and it's which is fascinating. So that's part of the effort is you take already great ice that you guys have for your NHL team, but then having to change it for curling ice so that the stone does its job and the amount of curl that they want to be able to play the game at a high level and to really separate the talent, right? The more curl, the more the cream rises to the top. So
yeah,
and so it's there is a level of nuance to the sport. But what I still love about it too, it's a global sport, right? It's one of the oldest sports from the 1500s. So I think there's a lot of tradition and history, and all coupled with sportsmanship and in a global platform. So there's a lot more that I'm excited about that we're going to be able to do with our sport in this country. And at the same time, we're looking to be successful globally, and we're the defending gold medalists in the Olympics, which we're thrilled by, and they're coming, Team Schuster. And we're the reigning bronze medalists in the women's side from the World Championships with Team Peterson, who's coming also. So it's our reigning top 2 teams, and we're excited to bring this level of competition to your market.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's always exciting having Olympic athletes come to our facility. We've had the women's national team for hockey there. Yeah. We have Olympic figure skating competitors that train out of there. So it's always a pleasure and a privilege to have that caliber of athlete. And for me personally, be able to see it up close, because watching it on TV, I feel like you have an appreciation for it, but actually getting to see it in person gives it a whole new perspective.
Well, and we saw it the last couple of weeks, right? The spirit of Olympism is real, and that yes, competing at the highest level and wanting to win for yourself, your country, your training partners and staff, that all matters. But that collaboration and kinship with the other countries is real also, and I think that's what makes international competition so much fun. And so competitive, which we see, in every sport. And obviously, I'm good friends with the my colleagues that run USA Hockey and US Figure Skating, which you're familiar with, and it's exciting to be our time now that Tokyo is accomplished and job well done by everyone. Now the focus gets to be on the winter sports, and so we're excited to have our opportunity, and Team USA is primed, I think, to have a really successful Beijing Olympic. So.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. Transition a little bit. So for people that don't know the sport as much, can you give us like a rundown, like basic rules, terminology that for someone trying to get in can have a quicker head start to knowing like exactly what's going on or get the gist of it?
Look, I mean, I think the terminology is elaborate, I guess, to say the least. And there's ends, right? So it's 10 ends instead of, almost think of it like innings, right? So okay. And that's how the game gets broken up. The important component of it is called hammer, which hammer's last rock, so the last rock of the end, which is, as you can imagine, is incredibly important. So yeah. And it becomes more important as the game goes on, obviously, as you're looking to either hold on to the lead, or if you're behind, you really need to make hay with that. So, and 8 stones per end. So I think you see the early stones being thrown are setting up the end and trying to set up what you're trying to accomplish, and the skip's calling it all. And which I love about our game, is that interaction is real, happening in real time, all mic'd up. And so if you're a fan of sport, just generally, that doesn't happen that much, right? You'll hear an NFL quarterback barking out the signals, but you don't hear really interaction about, hey, we're going to run this play right now. This is what we're trying to accomplish. I think that's really fun, and makes our sport unique. And also because you're able to see people's faces. There's no helmets. There's nothing guarding them between you and the fan. So you're just able to get real proximity to what's going on the ice. And so I think the general consumer that's watching on TV or coming out to Great Park Ice next or 2 weeks from now, it'll be fascinating to watch that and realize that every stone matters, right? They're setting something up, and it's very strategic. It's a little bit like golf, in that one shot leads to the next. And so I think those are kind of some of the basics just to be keeping in mind. And then, but I'll tell you, there's terminology. I listen to some of my, coaches say things I have no idea what they're talking about. So I still have plenty to learn myself.
That's awesome. I would say, like, now you're bringing up like the skip, like saying stuff, and I'm a fan of all like behind the scenes stuff with sports. So it is unique to have like a live, is it a draw?
Yeah. Well, and that's, I've learned, when in doubt, just use the word draw. That seems to work for a lot of different things in curling. So, the skip is, it's fascinating. And John Schuster in particular is very talkative. And so, which is fun. And part of it is that interplay between himself and his teammates. And I think a little bit of it just for his own, he's working it out in his mind, what he wants to do, just confirming what he wants to do. And I think it's fun to watch that happen in real time. And then for them to pull it off too, right? So it's one thing to vision it. It's another thing to execute it. And at this level, you're talking, quarter inch is the difference between making a shot and missing it, and winning and not winning. And so it's across 150 feet, right? There's a very, very special talent to be able to compete at this level. And that's true of any Olympic sport, but just as much for ours as anyone else.
Yeah, I'd say, and then just like touching on I feel like there's an intimacy, because it's like cameras can be a little bit closer. You're hearing them speak. You get to know, I feel like you can get to know a player or a member of the team like a lot quicker than other sports where they're so far away and you're only getting like a commentator's perspective.
Absolutely.
So I think that helps.
I think that's the perfect word. There is that intimacy that is a lot of fun. And then you find out that our athletes are, how accessible and approachable they are, and how passionate they are. Because look, this is still a sport that they're doing more for the love than anything else, right? There's not nearly enough money in the sport yet. we're working on that. That needs to be enhanced over time for certain. But we've got doctors and nurses that'll be out there. We've got people that have other jobs or own other businesses, and so they're out there for the love of the game and wanting to still build it. And I think that's certainly, I know I appreciate all of their hard work to help us achieve what we're trying to achieve long term. And but it's easy to fall in love with them, right? They're the types of athletes you can get really excited as a sport.
Yeah, that's awesome. I guess leading into that, like you're bringing up Team Schuster won the gold medal 2018, and then the women's team won bronze. I would say those probably are the storylines or teams to follow or look out for in this competition.
Absolutely, and I think so it's two great teams, and then our mixed doubles team of Chris Plies and Vicky Persinger as well, who won our national championship in May. And so we're bringing our best, and I think the Southern California sports community should be excited about that anyway. And then people that already know a little bit about curling are going to know that these are the best we have right now. And it doesn't mean that we've got other teams that are chomping at their heels, so they have to come there and not only try and play well for this competition, but to keep getting better, because neither one of them competed in our nationals. So we have different national champions this year. So Team Dropkin, Team Christensen. So it's an exciting time for our sport in our country, and globally. But I think we're looking to create a leadership position in the sport, and that it's one thing to say it, we have to go do it. And so I'm excited about the future.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, anytime you get to compete internationally is exciting, and especially leading up to the Olympic year, I think it'll only bring out the competition more, because I feel like there's only so many meaningful competitions left before it's like the real deal.
It is, and that with that certainly brings enhanced excitement if you're a fan. It brings pressure if you're an athlete, and I'm a big believer that you lean into the pressure, right? You got to embrace it, because they've earned the right to be in these roles, right? So they can handle it, and so we're excited about how they're going to do and how we're going to do as a country, and knowing that it's tight margins, right? The difference between winning and losing in most sports at an elite level is very tight. So I think that's where you really have to tip your cap to that world-class athlete. You see it in swimming. We're talking, hundredths of a second between winning a medal and not. That's hard to stomach if you're on the wrong side of that. So the perseverance and resiliency that these athletes show on an Olympic level is something to be really proud of.
Well, that's awesome. And I'm for sure a lot more excited about the event, and looking forward to seeing you guys in a couple weeks. I appreciate you coming on and taking some time out of your day to talk curling with us, and giving our listeners and followers a little bit more insight on USA curling and the sport in general. But yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you, DJ. Thanks for having me. Look forward to seeing you in person in a couple of weeks, and thanks for all the support of your listeners.